Hello, family. Happy Wednesday. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It is Wednesday, April the 19th, 2023, and the time is 12 o'clock noon. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome. Welcome. We are the world. Welcome, Sister Pieta and Robert, and to all of our YouTube family, our Twitter family, our Facebook family, and our Rumble family. Thank you so much for being here. There's a lot going on, and I'm excited to bring you the news, the breaking news. But before we go into that, please, family, check in. Let us know who you are and where you're checking in from. This is my new YouTube channel. If you're checking in from YouTube, so I had to create a backup channel because you all know that my old channel was removed because I had received 3 strikes, and that's okay. It's a time for new beginnings, and I'm excited about that. Thank you for being here. Please like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and share the videos. Now, some videos that I have here, I won't be able to keep on YouTube. So follow me over to my Rumble channel, and you can just go to rumble.com and look for Kia Pruitt. So you'll see me there, Dr. Kia Pruitt. Follow me there. I'll also leave that link in the description section. I hope everybody is doing well. Family, let me tell you, many of you have contacted Gold Star Mother Susan Price, and she's helped over 150 of you with your humanitarian project. So thank you so very much. She was, thrilled to help you all and excited about all the amazing projects that you all have come up with. Now she's on vacation right now, and the deadline has ended, but you can see her tomorrow. She will be on the show tomorrow, which is Thursday. No, not tomorrow, but Friday on the 21st at 11 o'clock a.m. We have a special guest for you coming on Friday. We're excited about that. I hope you can see this right here. I'll put this in the community section if I'm able to, because I'm new to this part of this new YouTube channel, and they're making me go through all these extra steps that I never had to go through before. So before I can upload in the community section, I have to verify who I am, verify my channel, put in my phone number and all that extra good stuff. And I have to make sure I follow their guidelines and procedures. But look, hey, everybody has laws and rules, and I appreciate that and I respect that. So on tomorrow, Gold Star Mother Susan Price and I will be here with a very special person. His name is Michael Avignon. He is an entrepreneur. He has had many startups, many, he said successes and failures, but he's doing very well. He's had $3 trillion projects, and he's studied extensively the RV, which is reevaluation of currencies, the global currency reset. He studied the great global financial transition, Jasara and Nasara, and has even written a book about it called The Global Financial Transition. So if you can join us on Friday at 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time, we will be streaming from YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, and any other place we can find to stream from. That would be amazing. You'll learn so much. You'll also learn a lot about his book, a lot about his successes, his failures, and how he was able to validate Jasara, how he was able to validate the revaluation of currencies. He talks about how someone had given him a ZIM early in his career, and he just took the ZIM, which many of you here know is a bond that says at the top left, a promise to pay the bearer upon demand. And I think those were out of circulation between 2008, 2009. So if you are into currencies, exotic currencies, foreign currencies, international currencies, you want to get a Zimbabwean bond note. It is a promise to pay. It's written on bond paper. It's a government bond, right? Your word is bond. They have to pay it. And I'll find out information about why they have to pay that for you all. But he's going to talk about how someone, now this is a very successful entrepreneur, Michael Avignon. He's going to talk about how someone had given him a bond note while he was doing some type of business discussion or conference, and he just tucked it away. This is him, Michael, that will be on our show on Friday. He tucked it away in his desk and said, okay, this might have some value someday. And he went on doing business, conducting businesses. He also left here and moved to Chile because he was tired of the deep state operative, the Khazarian, you know what, MAFIA, and how they had taken control of the financial system. So he said, I want to move from this country. This is an evil system. The central banks, they're out of control. They have taken control of all our financial instruments. They made it very hard for people to thrive and succeed. He said they've caused so much division between different ethnic groups, different racial groups, different religious groups, that it was too much. And even though he was a successful entrepreneur, he did not want to stay here. He moved on to Chile only to discover that the deep state had their tentacles all across the world. And as he came to that realization, God put people in his life to talk to him about the deep state. He did some investigative research on his own. We were talking about a very successful guy whose father was a financier. And he said, wait a minute, this is deeper than what I imagined. So he moved back to the States because he found out and discovered that this financial system was corrupt all across the world, not only through war, but also through us having the world reserve currency, because we had the military to support us and back us up to go and bully countries who would not take part in using the dollar, the United States dollar, for trade. When he came back, somebody else talked to him about the ZIM. He said, where have I heard that before? And he remembered that he actually had the ZIM note in his drawer that he had tucked away. So that led him to go deeper down the rabbit hole. And he discovered that indeed these were means, the exotic currencies, the Zimbabwean ZIM, the Venezuelan Bolivar, the Iraqi dinar, Afghanistanian currencies, all these currencies about which we've been learning had a story behind them, that these countries were the richest countries in the world. And this is why their currencies have been devalued, as well as Vietnam. So as he did this research and realized that the whole world was corrupt, the whole financial system was corrupt, he said, listen, I've got to get this message out to all people all across the world to let them know that you can cause a break in the system and leave some type of wealth and financial security for your children and your posterity. Hi, Kathy. So glad to see you back. Good afternoon, Almond Cookie and Dennis. Is it Dennis? Thank you. And Sister Gretchen. Susan, thank you so much. Abraham, thank you for being here. Robert, hello, good morning, great rising, joyous rising to you all. So he's going to come and talk to us about that and validate and affirm for us the importance of Nasara and Jazara and the global currency reset, as well as the revaluation of currencies. He says it's real. We're going to discuss his book on tomorrow, and we're going to take you across the journey or along on the journey as he was discovering what's going on and how to bring us to our sovereignty and our freedom. So again, that'll be on Friday at 11 o'clock. Bring your pen and your pad, your questions. Please join us. Let everybody know we're going to have a world-renowned, very, very financially successful historian / entrepreneur in Michael Avignon, and Gold Star Mother Susan Price, our favorite mother over here, the mother of the Patriot community, who will help to co-host this podcast on Friday. She introduced him to me and me to him. So I'll see you on Friday for that, family. Make sure you tell your friends and family members about that podcast. So keep checking in, family. I want to take my time today because I missed you all and I haven't seen you in a long time. What is the breaking news though? The breaking news, oh no, your channel is buffering. I've had those issues too. I'm so sorry about that. What is the breaking news? Let's start from the beginning. The beginning is Mother's Price had alerted me that we may indeed have some public officials who are serving as public officials that have not, or let me just say, may not have sworn an allegiance to the Constitution. And what happens if you haven't sworn an allegiance to the Constitution? You have to be removed according to our intel. So let's look and see what this particular person says about, I'm going to see if I can bring that up for you, about having public servants in office that have not sworn an allegiance to our country. Hold on one minute. family. I'm going to see if I can stop the camera here, and I'm going to see if I can do something to my internet. Hold on 1 minute. See, maybe it's buffering on my end. Just a minute, and I'll show you this breaking news. 1 minute, family. Keep checking in. I never know if it's on my end, if it's YouTube, or what's going on in terms of why we have some interruptions. So let me see if I can unmute this camera. I turned the camera off. Okay, I'm going to start it back. Let's hear what this person has to say about public servants serving and not pledging allegiance to our Constitution. 1 second, please. Let me mute that on my end and then play it for you on your end. Check in, family. Let us know who you are, where you're checking in from, and put your thoughts and your comments in the comment section about this video. Let's go.
Breaking news right now. Do we have public servants in office who are acting as elected officials without swearing in allegiance to the Constitution? A writ of quo warranto has been filed in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C., stating that numerous oaths of office cannot be found on file for many of our federal public officials, including Vice President Kamala Harris and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. Also on the list of missing oaths of office include the CDC Director, Rochelle Walensky, Secretary of Treasury, Janet Yellen, Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, the FDA Commissioner, Janet Woodcock, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Xavier Becerra, Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, and the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, Secretary of Education, Dr. Miguel Cadorna, Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, and the Commissioner of the FDA, Robert Califf, Secretary of Labor, Marty Walsh, Deputy Secretary of Labor, Julie Su, and the remedy sought for those individuals who have failed or refused to produce an affidavit as required by 5 U.S. Code, subsection 3332, demand that those persons provide the U.S. Attorney and the court in Washington, D.C. with the compulsory affidavit within 10 days. For those individuals who do not produce the affidavit within the 10 days and who have admitted that they do not possess the requisite affidavit, and those who have produced defective affidavits, they must immediately terminate their appointments or positions, render all official acts, bills, laws, regulations, or any official actions whatsoever, including the appointment of any subordinates, void ab initio, as well as replace and restore all proper and former office holders until competent replacements can be lawfully appointed. In order to be effective as a sworn declaration, it must either be sworn before a notary public or sworn under penalty of perjury per 18 U.S. Code subsection 1746. Once again, the issue before the U.S. Attorney is straightforward. Petitioner has sought the required affidavits prescribed in 5 U.S. Code subsection 3332 from all appointees referenced via the Freedom of Information Act, and this request and not one of the aforementioned appointees have produced a compliant affidavit consistent with applicable statutes. Either the affidavits are non-existent, wanting, defective, or the appointee has failed or refuses to provide the mandated affidavit to hold their respective offices. Follow rightnow.news and at Ann Vandersteel on CloutHub, Twitter, Truth, and Getter for more on this story as it develops.
So that was Ann Vandersteel. Can you all hear me now? That was Ann Vandersteel. And if you all want to see that document, I do have a copy of that document. You know, I got you. Your girl got you. So as you see, they were supposed to be sworn in. They were supposed to pledge an allegiance to our Constitution and to take care of us, to fight for our freedoms, but many of them have not done that. So I will get that document to anybody. Email me. I have a different email now for this particular podcast. It's joyous, JOYOUS, rising, RISING, at gmail.com. Joyous Rising is the name of our business. So if you email me, I'll send you that document because I don't want to put it in the YouTube description box because I don't know what they're going to do. They might not like it. So yes, make sure you can hear me because I have to switch between the volume. Sometimes I have to mute it. Sometimes I have to take it unmute it in order for you to hear the videos that I put up. So notice that she said that if these people have not sworn an allegiance or pledged an allegiance to our Constitution, they have to be removed. Now, this leads me to something I've been screaming about, talking about, yelling about as it relates to Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is not lawful. She's illegitimate. She may not serve as vice president or president. So when people were excited about her becoming the first female president, the first black female president of our country, I kept saying, she's not black, whatever that means. We know, according to Black's Law Dictionary, it just simply means you have no standing in law. It's a legal term or a term according to Black's Law Dictionary as it relates to status in law, has nothing to do with race, nationality, or ethnicity. But I kept telling people, no, she is not the first black anything, and neither is she legitimate. Why? Because the forefathers of our Constitution were very wise, and they put in a caveat in the Constitution as it relates to who may serve as president. What our forefathers said is in order to serve as president or vice president, because at any moment, if you're the vice president, you can slide into the position to become president, right? Vice president, you must be a natural born citizen and subject to the jurisdiction of the state in which you were born. You must be a natural citizen of a state in the country of America and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Now let's break that down. There's a difference between being natural born and native born. You know your girl's going to do her research. You know I'm going to talk to constitutional attorneys. I've spoken to regular attorneys, people who pass the bar, people who are adept in admiralty law. But just because you have a bar license or you passed a bar, or you have Esquire behind your name or a title of nobility, it does not mean you understand the Constitution, because your allegiance is to the British throne. That's why you passed the bar, the British accredited registry. You work for the Queen. Now, a lot of people don't know this. So we still love, respect, and honor our friends and family members who are attorneys, but they didn't know this. They chided me. They laughed at me. They said I didn't know what I was talking about. So I picked up the phone and talked to a constitutional attorney. I did my research. There's a difference between natural born and native born. Kamala Harris was born in Oakland, California, according to our records. Wonderful. But she's born to two parents. One, the woman, her mom is from India. That makes her Asian, which is why they kept saying she's the first Asian congresswoman when she worked in government, right? Because she never before said I was black or African American or had any type of allegiance to black people. As a matter of fact, or so-called black people, or people classified as black, which we know here are actually the indigenous Aboriginal people of America, or also known as Turtle Island. She, as a matter of fact, was very notorious for locking up black men in California for possession of marijuana, locking him up for decades and years and life for doing, yes, some crime and some very petty, menial things, that they should have gotten some type of penalty for, but not locked up for life, not locked up for decades. So how can you say you care about the black community when you're removing fathers from the home and not giving them any second chances? She was also notorious for helping Biden and some of the other people come up with you mess up 3 times, 3 strikes law. So this whole spiel about her pledging with the Black Greek fraternities, and she's the first black female anything, was a malarkey. She is Indian. You are what your mother is. She is, Asian. You are what your mom is in most countries. Or we could say you are what your dad is under, patriarchal countries. Her dad was Jamaican. So here's the thing. It's nice that she was born in Oakland, California. That makes her legitimate to run in Congress and some other governmental office, but it does not make her natural born. That makes her native born, but she's not natural born. And even if you said, okay, she is natural born because she was born on the land, she is not subject to the jurisdiction of the state of California, neither is she subject to the jurisdiction of America. What that entails is when you're subject to the jurisdiction, it also includes allegiance. So it's not just about where she was born, it's also about her allegiance. Because both of her parents were foreign, they were not naturalized here, they were not citizens, they didn't do anything to become citizens here. That made her an anchor baby. She is still not subject to the jurisdiction of California or to the jurisdiction or of any rules or regulations as it relates to the Constitution. Therefore, she may not serve as president because her allegiance is not to us. Her allegiance is not to Americans. Her allegiance is not even to the state of California. Her allegiance, by virtue of whom she was born by, is to Jamaica and to Asia, to India, wherever her mom is from. So it's about allegiance. Come on, who do I hear to back me up? Somebody bring me a witness. Let's see. Let's bring a witness by the name of John Eastman. Anybody ever heard of John Eastman? John Eastman is a constitutional expert. He is a law professor and an expert. Let me make sure I got his name correct. Yes, John Eastman. He is a law professor at Chapman University, or he was before they ridiculed him and laughed at him and told him he was a liar and he was racist because he told everybody in the world that Kamala Harris is illegitimate. So he was a law professor at Chapman University, which is in Orange, California, and he's a constitutional expert. He backs me up. He affirms me and confirms everything I'm saying. It's about allegiance. Kamala Harris may not serve as vice president of the United States. She must go. I've been screaming this for the last few years. So this is in alignment with what Ms. Vanderstoel is saying. These people that have not pledged allegiance must go to the Constitution. Why did Kamala Harris not pledge allegiance to the Constitution? Because she's illegitimate. She can't pledge allegiance to the Constitution because she has none. She has no Constitution for the United States of America, nor do we as American people. Okay, so we will likely see them all go very, very soon. It's coming, everybody. Be ready. As a matter of fact, I got a phone call about the EBS, the Emergency Broadcast System announcement that we're all anticipating. And what I've heard is they've started shutdowns already in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia, excuse me, I need some water, is a province of Canada, actually. It's an island like right above Canada. And I've heard they're starting to shut down Nova Scotia, and that might trickle down through out Canada and to the States because of allegedly some new variant of the new you-know-what. If this happens, it could lead to some type of martial law. It could lead to what else? The emergency broadcast system announcement, but I'm not sure. All we know is that there will be an emergency broadcast system announcement that will come online and alert everybody to be in their homes, pay attention to the television channel, pay attention to your computer and your phones. All mainstream media news outlets will probably not cover this, but information will come on about the war going on behind the scenes against the nefarious powers that have controlled our entire world and controlled that financial system that Michael Avignon will come on our channel on Friday to talk about and alert us to how it's happened, what's going on now, how we can help take it down, and how we can help actually infiltrate the system, change it, make it new, and do some beautiful, amazing things for our communities and for our families and for society worldwide. I am so excited. So I said that happens tomorrow. No, Michael Avignon comes on actually Friday at 11 o'clock a.m. So what else do we have in the news? Peace talks in the Middle East. Peace in the Middle East. I will do that, sister. So what is peace? What is peace? I can't do it from here. I'm going to have to do it a little later. Kathy was our moderator on our last YouTube channel before it got taken down. And for many of you who don't know, my channel was removed while while I was speaking to, I was speaking about David Sheckman's letter. David Sheckman is the co-founder of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. He had written a letter about how precious metals are increasing in demand and how you needed to hurry up and get in it and get out of the dollar. So as I was reading his urgent letter, a lot of you were on that podcast, and what happened was it got cut. So I was still streaming from Rumble and YouTube, and I'm not YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter, but my YouTube channel just completely cut out. And nobody knew what was going on. They started telling me, Kia, I had to get off of YouTube because something happened while you were speaking. I couldn't hear you anymore. I couldn't see you anymore. I had to rush to Facebook. And then my phone started blowing up, and people were like, you need to figure out what's going on. And what happened was Facebook removed me. Not you, Facebook, excuse me. YouTube removed me, said I was violating community standards. I was spreading conspiracy theory, and I had no right to speak on precious metals. So they cut me and removed my entire channel. But with everything that happens that looks to be bad, there's always an opportunity. So I saw it as a new opportunity to create a fresh channel and to do some things differently. So here we are. Michael Avignon will be on with Gold Star Mother Susan Price and I on Friday the 21st. For those who missed my announcement, at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that's for Kathy and all those who asked me what time. Now, there have been some talks about peace in the Middle East, and that's very interesting. Yes, Michael Avignon will also, Kathy, talk about the RV, the revaluation of currencies, the exchange, the global currency reset, how he was able to validate and confirm and affirm that these things are real. I know that many of you may have read the Bible, like I have read the Bible many times. As a young minister, a missionary, and even as an ordained evangelist, because in order to preach about the word or even to know about history, a biblical history, whether it's true or not, because everybody doesn't believe it's authentic, I needed to read the Bible from cover to cover. And what I learned from reading the Bible is that they always talk about how you may hear of peace, peace, but when you hear peace, peace, then you know that sudden destruction is coming. And that was true in all times throughout history. They would talk about peace, but you knew that destruction and war was looming around. However, as my great friend, Prime Minister, who many of you here know, as he always says, we're entering in 1,000 years of peace, global peace and prosperity. Please, family, go to Prime Minister's channel. He's on Rumble. He and I have done podcasts. He and Gold Star Mother Susan Price and I have done podcasts. He has had amazing guests on there, such as who is that? Who people say, 48, negative 48, and some of the other people who do decoding. So you want to go follow his channel. But he always talks about global peace. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because behind the scenes, 209 countries have agreed to return to peace. They've agreed to return to the gold standard and global peace. And this is all part of GESARA, the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. We know that in America as the national version of that, the National Economic Security and Reformation Act that we call NESARA. So even though we've heard about wars, rumors of wars and destruction, now is a time of peace. And here we see a breaking article saying that peace is breaking out in the Middle East and Washington is not happy about it. Let me read this to you. Ron Paul wrote this article, and I'm kind of fond of a lot of Ron Paul's words and his writings. So listen to what he says. This was published on the 13th. While you and I were being distracted, or other people, because we know what's going on in the Ukraine, while we were being distracted by ongoing wars and things going on in Russia and the Ukraine, and Washington's increased involvement in the war, tremendous developments in the Middle East have occurred. But these are things that the United States doesn't like to hear about. The Middle East is talking about ending decades of meddling about what's going on in their country. They're ending decades of the United States meddling in their region. And guess who's going to facilitate these peace talks? China. So I want to talk to you about that in a minute. Peace is breaking out in the Middle East, and Washington is not happy about it. For example, the recent mending of relationships between Saudi Arabia and their adversaries, their former bitter adversaries such as Iran and Syria. Now China is brokering a deal between the Saudis and Iran. They are reestablishing full diplomatic relations with the foreign ministers of both countries meeting in Beijing. That occurred last week. It's the highest level meeting between these two countries in 7 years. See that number 7, the year of completion, 7 years. What else we know when it comes to 7? The Shemitah in the Hebrew tradition, and you all know that I'm Hebrew. I've studied the tradition. I've practiced the tradition. I raised my children in the tradition. The Shemitah says that you must count a 7-year cycle. And at the end of the 7-year cycle, in the 7th year, you have to have a jubilee. You have to release people from their debts. You have to cancel all the debts. You have to have peace. And you're supposed to allow vagrants and poor people to come on the land and glean from the land peacefully without paying you. This is a year of jubilee, family. And we see it happening right now as we have come to the end of a Shemitah cycle here. Additionally, Rhodesia is expected to invite Syria back into the Arab League, and Syrian President Assad may attend the next Arab League summit. Syria was suspended from the Arab League 12 years ago when the United States allies and the Middle East signed on to Washington's Assad must go policy that wreaked havoc across the region. And the nearly decade-long war in Yemen, which devastated the entire population, is finally ending, as Saudi Arabia is expected to announce an end to its United States-backed war on that country. Saudi Arabia is making some very important moves. You all know that they're also making financial moves, but let's continue. Troops from the United Arab Emirates are leaving Yemen, and a Saudi delegation is arriving to negotiate a peace deal. So not only do we see Saudi Arabia making political moves and geopolitical moves, but Saudi Arabia, as you all know, left the United States dollar. At the end of last year, they made an announcement that they may join BRICS. And you know, I did a podcast on it about how they are joining BRICS and have in fact joined BRICS. Everybody else is saying they may join BRICS. What's going to happen? Oh my God, the dollar is going to lose value. You already know they joined BRICS and they became known Sal BRICS. So let me catch many of you, if you're new to the channel, I'll catch you up to speed very quickly. What happened is there's something called, they're calling it now Operation Sandman. Everybody's like, oh, Dr. Kia, have you heard of Operation Sandman? Of course I have. I've only been talking about this since 2017. We didn't have a name for it then, but I came back recently and called it Project Sandman. Project Sandman is an agreement between 209 nations that when triggered, they would drop the United States dollar and go to gold for trade. They would drop the dollar and all dollar-denominated assets. And when that happens, the dollar would plunge to zero and all dollar-denominated assets would then plunge to zero. After that announcement was made between 209 countries behind the scenes, and unbeknownst to mainstream, unbeknownst to us, except for if you were in the intel community, Jim Rickards came on and said, once the dollar drops in value and all dollar-denominated assets plunge to zero or near zero, you will have an ICE 9 scenario, which means everything will freeze. The banks will freeze. You will have banking crises. People's credit cards will stop working. Their ATM cards, their EBT cards, their food stamp benefits will freeze. Everything will stop. And this is what we see happening. We've been reporting this for years. Andy Schechtman's been reporting on this for years. Bill Holter, all these people, Jim Rickards have been saying this for years. Big Swear, who has a channel called Road to Ruta. So you want to go to Road to Ruta, ROOTA.com, or look on YouTube for his channel, Road to Ruta. We've all been talking about this for years that it was happening. So what was the trigger? When triggered, they would leave the United States dollar and go to gold. The trigger was Vladimir Putin. When he went to that country, Ukraine, to clean it out, 46, Lord Biden put sanctions on him. And that he thought that was going to stop something, but it only inspired Putin to go to the gold standard. Now, Putin had been saying since 2018, I'm moving to the gold standard. I had the article. I've been publishing it and talking about it since 2018 because I had the article. It has since been removed and cleansed from the website. But if I can find my copy, then I will bring it to you. But he left the United States dollar and he led the BRICS Union, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, to also leave the United States dollar for trade and go to gold. And then country after country did the same thing. When Putin left and led the BRICS nations to do that, Saudi Arabia was next in line. Once Saudi Arabia left the United States dollar for trade, that was monumental, because what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency was our agreement with Saudi Arabia that you give us the oil, and in exchange for that, we'll protect your kingdom and we'll force all other nations to use the United States dollar for trade through OPEC. Well, now Saudi Arabia has left that agreement. Just by virtue of them joining BRICS, they left the agreement, which meant that the United States dollar was no longer the world reserve currency. So when that happened, you saw country after country leaving the United States dollar, going to gold for trade. So what's happening behind the scenes is that the whole world is actually returning to gold. They're using gold for money. They're actually returning to the gold standard behind the scenes, as well as America. So you'll hear people say that America is behind. America is going to suffer. No, we're not. We're not going to suffer because all these countries are turning to gold for trade. We're not at all, because behind the scenes, you have Alexander Mooney, Andy Briggs, Paul Gosar. Alexander Mooney being a representative from West Virginia, Andy Briggs and Paul Gosar being from Arizona, introducing House Resolution 2435 to define the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. Alexander Mooney is the same gentleman that introduced House Resolution 5404 in 2018 under the Trump administration to define the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. And then under the Biden administration in October, around the 7th, he introduced House Resolution 9157 to return gold to be used as money, to define the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. And most recently, just in March, Andy Briggs from Arizona, and the representative Paul Gosar from Arizona introduced House Resolution 2435, which they called the Gold Standard Restoration Act, to return the gold standard and define the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. And this, my darlings, is why you see the whole world is hurtling back toward gold as money. And I've shown you all this article many, many times. I'll put that in a description section, but it's important for me to bring you up to date and to refresh your memory about why we see the things happening as they are being finally trickled into mainstream media. Yes, we heard from, actually, it was a Kennedy that Kamala, his name is actually called Kamal. I can't think of his last name. And allegedly, we have to say allegedly, is a man. So if anybody can remember what Kamal's last name is, please let us know. So it was Bouvier. It was somebody by the name, I can't think of his first name, but it was Kennedy Bouvier Kennedy, actually told us years ago that Kamal Harris, or Kamal, whatever his real name is, was a man. And I can't say that to be true or not. I have to say on this channel, allegedly. So what else is in the news? We talked about how public servants who are serving us may be removed because they have not pledged an allegiance to our country or to our Constitution for the United States of America. We talked about how Kamala Harris is not lawful. She's not a legal, legitimate vice president, and neither can she serve as president because she doesn't have an allegiance to our country. She was an anchor baby. Her parents are foreign born and they never were naturalized. They are not citizens here in America. So because of that, she cannot serve. She may serve in Congress maybe, but she can't be the president because our forefathers created a caveat to the Constitution that said in order to serve as president, you must be natural born and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, subject to the jurisdiction of the state in which you were born, and subject to America and to our Constitution. Well, it's all about allegiance. As you read that caveat, you see that you have to have an allegiance to our country, and she does not, because of her foreign-born parents. And we talked about how John Eastman, who is a law professor and an expert on constitutional law, actually stated the same thing, and people called him racist. Because of that, he eventually left and was no longer served as professor of Chapman University, which is actually located in Orange, California. And people know how to do this. They'll try to shame you and call you a racist. Look, everybody's not caught up in your skin complexion. Most people don't even care. This is so outdated, so 1960s in my reality. It's not about race. People aren't racist if they call out what's illegitimate and what's unlawful. That does not make them racist. That makes them knowledgeable. It makes them informed. It makes them wise. It makes them well read and well studied. And we have to stop being so quick to call people names. You're a racist. You're a white supremacist. You're a white nationalist. You're this, that, and the third. I don't care if you're a white supremacist. I don't even care if you're a white nationalist. Why should you not care about your nationality? Why should you not be concerned about your bloodline? Why should you not want the best for your people, your ethnic group, your family, your community, your tribe, your country? I'm not offended by that. Kia Pruitt is not. So it's just me, maybe. It did not make John Eastman racist to say Kamala Harris is not lawful. Just because they got a lot of people to buy in that by saying she pledged into a Black Greek fraternity, it does not mean she was Black, and neither does it mean that she was lawful. A lot of people are indeed sick. So there are peace talks in the Middle East, as you all saw, and Saudi Arabia is instrumental in that. And Saudi Arabia also is saying that they're going to have peace in their country. And so we brought up Saudi Arabia leaving the United States dollar because they are making moves not only geopolitically and politically, but they're making moves in terms of financial instruments. What will they use for trade? What deals are they breaking? They're breaking an allegiance to the United States corporation. They're leaving the United States dollar and going towards gold for trade because gold now is the standard. So who is facilitating this deal, this peace talk between the Middle East and their countries and different nations, but China? And I'm not even sure why China is facilitating these peace talks or why they're brokering these deals, but they are. And again, this is about the 209 country agreement behind the scenes to return to gold as being the standard and gold being what will back all of their currencies to make their currencies become one-to-one. But they also made an agreement to return to global peace, world peace, which is why under 45 we had no wars. China's foreign minister told his Israeli, and Palestinian counterparts his country is ready to help facilitate peace talks. The separate phone calls between Foreign Minister Yin Gang and the Israeli and the Palestinian top diplomats comes amid recent moves by Beijing to position itself as a regional mediator. Now, perhaps you all know what's going on behind the scenes, something that I don't know, but they must be making some type of trade agreements between all these countries if they're brokering peace. You all let me know in the comment section why you think China is brokering these peace talks or being the facilitator of all these Middle Eastern countries or between them. Ying encouraged steps to resume peace talks and said that China is ready to provide convenience for this. In his Monday phone call with Israeli foreign prime minister, he reported this in his summarization. And King told Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki that Beijing supports the resumption of talks as soon as possible, according to a Xinjiang summary. In both calls, he emphasized China's push for peace talks on the basis of implementing a two-state resolution, he said. China is really being instrumental in a lot of things. I don't know if you all recall, but they also had a deal with Zimbabwe that was brokered in 2018 to help Zimbabwe mine the gold that is underground in Zimbabwe. So China's been instrumental in a lot of negotiations. And so I'm paying attention to China. No, I don't think they'll be the next world leader. I do not. I think that was the intent behind a lot of things. But now what I see is all nations through Jassara and Nassara actually becoming sovereign. So if you don't want another country to step up and being a rule over you, then learn to become sovereign. Learn to have sovereignty, above, over, reign, rule, have reign and rule over your own life. And the best way you can do this is to get your family in line, create a family mission and vision statement for your entire family that will take your family throughout generations. Look into what you see happening for your family or your posterity, your future generations for hundreds of years, thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, and create a mission and vision statement and make sure every activity, every venture, every business opportunity, every business venture that you do is in alignment with your family's vision and mission statement. Be like the Chinese, be like the people who have dynasties that have lived on forever. This is why I don't get caught up in what's white supremacists, what's nationalists, what's white nationalists, how these people concerned about their bloodline. That doesn't concern me. I need to be concerned about our families, how we're going to keep them well, how we're going to have sovereignty, how we're going to operate outside of the system so that no system, no entities again can come in and cause separation and cause us to be fighting and cause us to live in perpetual poverty. So China has been on a recent diplomatic offensive, brokering the restoration ties in March between Iran and Saudi Arabia, rivals in a region where the United States for decades has been the main diplomatic power broker. Well, the United States is over, so they can't power broke anything. They can't arrange peace talks. They can't even dip in anybody's business or cause wars because the United States Incorporated is bankrupt and default. And now our republic, our lawful government is now online, taking control, leading the way with Donald Trump as the 19th president of the republic. He's working with Xi Jinping of China. He's working with Vladimir Putin of Russia. He's working with Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe and other world leaders to bring about this world peace, even the Israeli-Palestinian peace. Those negotiations had been stalled since 2014, but they are back. And so now we're going to have world peace. Welcome, everybody. Yes, look into the future of your children and your posterity and your future generations. I know in America we're spoiled. We like to party and have fun. We like to drink and smoke and kick it. Nobody's saying you can't have fun, but while you're looking for the weekend, you have dynasties that have been planning for generations. We're behind. We need to become more serious about life and take care of our families. Because if you can take care of yourself and your family, healthy, balanced families create healthy, balanced communities, which then creates a healthy, balanced society. My son, who is an economist, taught me this, and Dexter Lattimore, will also be on our live podcast on Friday with me, Gold Star Mother Susan Price, and Michael Avignon to share his thoughts and some of the things that he learned in economics. He's a young man in his early 30s, married with children, and he's been a world travel. He is the godchild of Malcolm X's oldest daughter. We call her Ambassador Shabazz. We may actually, she was not his official godfather at birth, but she became his godmother through time that they spent together. She was a professor of his, one of his professors at college. They became very close. He's done some traveling with her. He's met world leaders in Brazil and where else? Africa, world leaders in different countries in Africa, South and Central America, and Belize, as a matter of fact. So he will be on with us Friday is going to be an amazing time as we talk to economists, entrepreneurs, a Gold Star mother who is a mother of a fallen soldier. She's also a military vet herself. And we're going to talk about all these things that we're sharing today: the global economics, revaluation of currencies, Nasara Jasara, and the global currency reset. So that was the peace deals that made breaking news. And also we have another breaking news article. How would you go about this for our future? We'll talk about that. Okay. So, family, what else is in the news is Arkansas. As you know, the dollar is losing its value. More likely, it has lost its value. Arkansas is in the news. Arkansas is in the news for making gold and silver officially legal tender. So they're confirming gold and silver as legal tender, actually. Let me see if I can find that for you. Not only have they affirmed gold and silver as legal tender, but Arkansas has actually removed the taxes from the sales of the precious metals of gold and silver. And this is important, as I've told you all many, many times, because when you remove remove the taxes from, let me see if I can find that. No, when you remove the taxes from the sales of precious metals, you are actually acknowledging them as legal tender and or lawful money to be used for trade and to use to pay off debts. So this is a GATA article. I'm a subscriber to GATA. If you want to know how you can be a subscriber to the Go Antitrust Action Committee, go to www.gata.org and subscribe to their newsletter, because they give some very good information about gold and silver. Arkansas affirms gold and silver as legal tender, and they eliminated the taxes on the sale of them. I've been talking to you all about this at length from the first time. I know I was the first one to talk about this because nobody was talking about it. None of the podcasters, nobody in mainstream media. God allowed me to see the article that actually said 42 states have removed taxes from the sales of precious metals. And it talked about how introducing legislation and passing legislation, removing the taxes from precious metals, acknowledges them as legal tender and or lawful money to be used to pay off debts and to be used for as trade instruments used in trade. We're moving to the gold standard behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know. So after though I reported that those articles and that information that 42 states have removed the taxes from precious metals, then Mississippi came along. I think it was February 2023 to become the 43rd state. I'll get that article for you and put it for you in the description section. So here's the breaking news that Arkansas just released, and this was 12 hours ago, well, just a few hours ago, maybe a little more than 12 hours ago, April the 18th, which was yesterday. I told you Tuesdays are always days of major announcements. Arkansas sound money advocates are rejoicing as House Bill 1718, the Arkansas Legal Tender Act, has become the law in the natural state. They call it the natural state. I like that. Backed by the Sound Money Defense League, Money Metals Exchange, and sound money advocates and supporters through the state, House Bill 1718 reaffirms gold and silver as legal tender, as well as ending all taxes on the purchase, sale, or exchange of specie, including state capital gains taxes. And it goes on to talk more and more about why that is important, how it happened, and why you need to know this. Things are changing, family, in the fabric, the financial and economic landscape, and the fabric of our economic system. It's changing. Why? Because the old system was corrupt, as Michael Avignon will talk to us about in detail on Friday, 11 o'clock here. It's been corrupt. The central banking system was corrupt. But we have gold, and gold will destroy the Fed. So what happened after that, or at the same time that this news is coming out about Arkansas, is that there was an article that was published that says about $1 trillion, or approximately $1 trillion, has been removed from the banking system amid banking crises. People are not trusting or do not trust the banking system. So what you see happening is people saying, I'm not going to play along. I'm going to take out my money from the banking system so that they won't do any bail-ins or any nefarious activities, stealing my money or anything like that, since they're having all type of crises. Now, when Silicon Valley banks, stocks tanked, you saw them in crises, and then a lot of all other smaller banks have issues in America. That's important because what happened before they got this bailout or talks of a bailout was that a lot of deposits that were in these smaller banks were rolled over into the larger banks in hopes that the larger banks would be bailed out by the United States Incorporated, the so-called government, which is fake, but it's defunct, it's bankrupt. So the United States Incorporated can't bail out these banks. I mean, they can say they can, but they can't bail them all out. Remember, Janet Yellen said January 19th on Thursday, it was on a Thursday, that we had reached the debt ceiling. She claimed we had reached $31 trillion in debt, which we know was probably closer to 100 trillion or more. She said they had to take extreme measures to remedy this by stealing from, those weren't her words, but by taking from government workers' retirement funds and from the retirement funds of United States postal workers. Well, if you're like me, you don't take that as a something to laugh about. You take it as a threat. And so did a lot of other Americans. And what they did was they took their money out of the retirement accounts, rolled it over into a gold IRA, or rolled it over into precious metals, hard assets, silver and gold, or farmland, or something else, anything else, rather than leaving in the system. So $1 trillion has likely, they said, exited the United States banking system as America risks global economic isolation. This came out by Hank Paulson. Hank Paulson is a billionaire. And I often wondered if he's related to who was that guy's name? There was John Paulson. John Paulson was the billionaire that said, get out of the dollar, get out of the dollar and go to gold. So it's interesting that Hank Paulson is talking to us about how $1 trillion has likely left the banking system. Who is Hank Paulson? Very important person to listen to because he's a former United States Treasury Secretary. He believes that panic in the banking sector is not over. It's going to get worse. This isn't a scare tactic. This isn't to make you worry. It's not to make you nervous. It's to excite you and prepare you, because you have to know things that are going on. You have to be alert and aware of what's going to happen, even so that you can prepare. This is what proactive people do. Proactive people are very productive. They act, they're wise, they are smart, they are informed. They do things before time so that they're not reactionary when the whole system collapses. Remember, I was the one who came online. My article went viral on And We Know podcast. That's when they were on YouTube. It went viral on rumor mills. It went viral all across the world. I didn't even know it. I was getting phone calls from everywhere saying your article is going everywhere. It was called something about I can't remember. I'll bring it up. That this is I'll bring it up in a minute. But it was published in rumor mills and We Know, and it talked about how the whole world was about to be shut down. Corona is a cover. That's what it said. Corona is a cover. And I talked about how you need to prepare, that we were told long ago that there was going to be a black swan event. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I had no idea it was going to be the pandemic. But I knew that we had been told it was going to happen years before it happened. I said, get food, get water. Do y'all remember that? Get you some protection. Get your tools and all type of things that you might need, your supplies, because the whole world might face a shutdown. I said National Guard is going to be on the ground. Don't worry, because behind the scenes, I'll see if I can find that article. I said behind the scenes, what's happening is that the deep state is being cleaned up. Let's see, Corona is a cover. I said the deep state is being cleaned up and people are being arrested. Well, that article actually went viral and I had no idea. Corona is a cover. So people who made fun of me and people who did not do what I had and was inspired to tell them to do were not prepared, and they rushed to the grocery stores and they rushed to Walmart and all these places all at the same time and everybody was running out of supplies. So all I'm saying, family, is what happened to your videos on your website? My YouTube channel was taken down. This is a new YouTube channel. Thank you. Thank you for asking. So what happened was people were reactionary. Don't be reactionary, family. Be proactive. So what did this gentleman say, Hank Paulson? I see I'm at 59 minutes. I don't want to keep you on too long. So let me get here. Hank Paulson, former Treasury Secretary, believes that the panic is not over. And this is the first recession that we've seen since 2007. It's inevitable. In a new interview with the Financial Times, Paulson says depositors appears to have pulled out about $1 trillion out of the banking system so far. He says small and regional banks are now focused on protecting their capital and tightening their lending services, which will likely roll the economy over into a recession. Be prepared, family. The capital markets shut down for 2 or 3 weeks. Now they're opening, but not to the extent they were. So I think it's pretty likely we'll see a recession if you look at what's happening to credit. So Paulson predicted that traditional forms of borrowing and lending will shift outside of the regulated banking system, which he says could spark further uncertainty and potential panic. And amid a bleak economic outlook, Paulson says that global economic isolation is now a serious risk for the United States. Family, as much as you can, prepare. Now let's see what John Paulson says. How can you prepare? You can roll over any savings that you have into gold if you desire, or into silver, into other assets, hard assets that are safe havens that will protect you against inflation, and that will protect your wealth and will increase in value and not decrease in value. We know, we've said this multiple times, that in order to pay off all the debts on the books, gold has to revalue between $10,000 and $100,000 per ounce. Jim Holter says it could actually revalue to $800,000 per ounce. We know at the same time, silver will revalue because silver always follows gold. Additionally, silver has a lot of industrial purposes, right? All of these electric cars will need silver. Solar panels need silver. All the technology that's been suppressed that's coming out now through Jasara Nasara, it needs silver. Your appliances, your refrigerator, stove, microwave, oven, washer, dryer, all of that, your computer, your cell phone, it all requires silver. There's more gold above the ground than there is silver. Silver is scarce. We have an abundance of it, but not as much as gold. We have way more gold than we have silver, and yet silver has more uses. Gold has traditionally and historically been used as money and jewelry. Silver, on the other hand, money, jewelry. In fact, silver has been used as money longer than gold has been used for money, and it has industrial purposes. So I would say, this is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm a researcher, avid researcher. I would say silver. Get both, but silver, especially if you cannot afford gold or if it's not in your budget, because silver is significantly undervalued and yet has more uses, more purposes. It serves more purposes. So silver is about $26, $25 per ounce, plus premiums on top of that. And premiums are rising as the demand for gold and silver rises. So you're going to pay $5, $6 or more above the spot price or the market price of silver and gold because of the high demand. Get in it while you can. Go to your local dealer. You need to have a relationship with your local coin dealer anyway. Get on Google. Local coin dealer near me, numismatics near me. Establish a relationship, because a lot of people are buying up constitutional silver right now. What is constitutional silver? It's what they call junk silver, or coins that were minted before 1965, your silver dimes, your silver quarters, your silver half dollars, which are only a couple dollars above. A couple dollars right now. I think my local coin shop, the half dollars are $12 per coin. And I think the dimes might be $5, dimes and quarters might be $5, $6, something like that, or maybe a little less, but people are buying it up. The only way they get an abundance of constitutional junk silver is if people sell their silver, their junk silver, the coins that they've been saving up through generations. That's why we keep talking about generational wealth. If you have been storing generational wealth, if your parents and your great grandparents and great have been doing this and passed it down to you, you would have it in your possession now and you would not be selling it. But some people are selling it, and that's why your local coin dealers may have it. Go there now, because my local coin shop did not have any 2 weeks ago. Now they only have a box left. At least a couple of days ago, they might not have any because someone has sold it in order to pay their bills. Get constitutional silver or junk silver. We also have it at Miles Franklin through Andy Scheckman, the CEO. If you don't have silver or gold at your local coin dealer, because we had run out totally of all the troy ounces of bullion except for 5 ounces 2 or 3 weeks ago in Jacksonville. And this is the largest landmass in the country. 5 ounces of bullion and no constitutional silver until last week. So either call your local coin shop or be my guest and contact our great friend Andy Scheckman, the CEO of Miles Franklin, by going to emailing info@milesfranklin.com. Ask them for the list of inventory and prices and take your order from there. Let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you so that you can get the best prices in the industry. Why am I saying this? Because $1 trillion has been removed from the banking system, and it's happening for a reason. On the heels of this, family, before I'm gonna tell you what Andy Scheckman said about how we've added 12,000 new customers, 12,000 new customers in the last 30 days. Let me show you what billionaire John Paulson says. I don't know. Okay. Billionaire John Paulson. He says you need gold, not dollars. Just so you can see that I'm not making this up. This is a billionaire hedge fund manager. John Paulson said you're better off owning gold than dollars. Why? Because according to him, the dollar is set up for long-term depreciation as the world drifts toward de-dollarization. I've been saying this for a long time, family. Now you can see a billionaire is saying the same thing. Now, y'all know I'm not a billionaire, but he confirms what I've been saying. Let's listen to briefly. This is just, I think, 17 seconds I said. Let's listen to 17 seconds of what Andy Scheckman has said. What he says about 12,000 new customers being added to Miles Franklin. 12,000 new customers have decided to buy silver and or gold from Miles Franklin, a precious metals company that is run by and was started by Andy Scheckman. This is Andy over here, the CEO, and his dad, David Scheckman. This here is Chris Marcus. He has a wonderful, amazing channel. Chris Marcus talks about silver. He actually introduced me to Andy Scheckman years ago. Chris Marcus has something called the Silver Fest every year where he brings silver experts to talk about the value of silver and why you should have it. He talks about silver mining, silver investing, silver stacking, and all that. He's an amazing, educated, well-informed person who used to actually work for, I think it was the New York Stock Exchange, or he was a trader of some sort. His channel is called Arcadia Economics. Please go to his channel, subscribe to it. I was subscribed under my old channel and on my Goddess channel, but I'm going to have to subscribe into my new YouTube channel. Let's listen to what he says about 12,000 new customers being added to our customer base, and that 12,030 days, that's 3 or 4 years worth of clients that have joined Miles Franklin, have come to Miles Franklin for precious metals in the last 30 days. Let me know what you think of this in the comment section.
We've added almost 12,000 new clients in 30 days. That's 3 years worth of clients or more. This is an environment that is unmatched to anything I could explain. And we're seeing premiums really start to go up considerably again, not just in silver, but also in gold.
So family, you heard it. You heard it right there. Can you hear me now? You heard him say that 12,000 customers have been added to our customer base. They have bought silver and gold, 12,000 customers in the last 30 years, family. Get silver and gold into your own possession. Consider rolling your IRA into a gold IRA if you are inclined, or at least adding gold and or silver to your portfolio. Here's a question. If the price of precious metals go that high, will that put jewelry stores out of business? I'm not sure. That's a good question. I don't know how that would work. I will tell you that the price of precious metals will go up, but it will come back down. Things will have a way of leveling out. So don't worry, they will come back down. And when that happens, you'll be able to get gold and silver, but the premiums may be through the roof, and or it may not be accessible easily to wholesalers. We're seeing this as an issue right now, where it's taking longer for people to get their precious metals. And people are calling me, emailing me like, what's happening? It's taking more than a week. It's taking more than 2 weeks. This is going to happen no matter where you order precious metals from right now, because the demand is so high. We are processing, even at Miles Franklin, multiple 7-figure orders. That means $1 million worth of precious metals we've been processing in the last few weeks. So it's taking longer, family, because of the high demand for gold and silver, and because we already had a supply chain interruption issue since the pandemic. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this so far. There'll be a level playing field in Nasara and Jasara throughout the world. Absolutely. So that's almost all of the news, family. I also want to let you all know, you're welcome. I'm glad you can hear me, that the CEO of AppMax, which is a precious metals company, just wrote a letter. Let's see what the CEO of AppMax said. This is a very important letter. I'll see if I can find it for you. The reason why you need to know that they wrote this letter is because all CEOs are concerned about the high demand for gold and silver. What did he say? I'll briefly read this, but this is coming on the heels of the letter that I read from David Schechtman. David Schechtman, the owner and founder or co-founder of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. David Schechtman is Andy Schechtman's dad. He wrote a letter 2.5 weeks ago, but here's the CEO writing a letter from AppMax. AppMax is also the precious metals company that rented from Donald Trump and paid Donald Trump in gold. I don't know if you all remember that. I think that was around 2011. And Donald Trump made a statement back then, and he said, this is a precursor to what is to come. He was letting us know that we're moving to the gold standard. April 15th, AppMax statement. It's been a little over a week since our last update. During that time, AppMax has added 25% more resources to their fulfillment. A significant amount of this is exempt office workspace. They go on to talk about how they're going to a $500 order minimum before you can get 1 coin, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now they had to increase it to a 500 minimum order in efforts to slow down order volumes. They have to slow business down. This is a huge problem. It's a good problem in a way, because now business is booming, right? But they have to now make the order the minimum $500. That's why I say go to your local coin shop if you do not have 500 or more than 100, 2, 3, 4, $500. Your local coin shop will do business with you no matter how much money you have. I expect this will last 7 to 10 days. He says, in effort to be transparent, when we look at our order volumes, our average daily orders for the last week is over $250 are actually up. He says customers are migrating to a larger order rather than not placing a purchase. We appreciate the commitment of our customers to modify, while at the same time, we're not getting the relief that we need to get. We need to get back to traditional service levels. They cannot reach out to you. They cannot answer all the calls. This is AppMax. They cannot get the orders out quickly enough. They can't even take orders that are less than $500 because the demand is so high. So many people are getting into precious metals. And this is why I keep telling people, and I've been saying it for years, please do what you can. If you cannot afford bullion, a troy ounce, get a half an ounce, get a quarter of an ounce, get a fourth of an ounce, get silver shots, silver ringlets, get sterling silver, which is 92% silver, sterling jewelry, sterling silver instruments, utensils, whatever you can. Go to a yard sale, an estate sale, go to an antique shop, your local coin dealer, anywhere you can to get silver in your possession. Because what Big Weir has said is it's going to come a time you can get gold, but it's going to come a time when you're not going to be able to get all these things. And if you can get access to it, the premium is going to be $50 or $100 above the spot price, which would make it a little more challenging or a little more difficult. You're so welcome. You are so welcome. It is my great pleasure, Sister Deborah. Thank you for your very kind, generous words. If you don't have it right now in your possession, you don't have the money, get junk silver. That's constitutional silver, or it's also called silver minted before 1965 coins, like such as dimes, quarters, and half dollars. Go to your local coin dealer. We also sell it at Miles Franklin. You can contact Andy Scheckman or our brokers, info@milesfranklin.com. And so right now, our website, our interactive website is not up. However, we do have an informative website, milesfranklin.com. You can follow Andy Scheckman and Miles Franklin on Twitter. That's where I'm very active. But if you email info@milesfranklin.com, you'll be able to get silver, bullion, gold bullion. You can even probably get 100. I've never gotten 100 ounces, but I've heard of the 100-ounce bars. For those that can afford it, you can get gold IRAs. We have storage. Which is insured. Your money will be insured, and your gold, your precious metals will be insured there. And with that program, you can take some gold and silver into your possession. So email Andy Scheckman and the brokers, info@milesfranklin.com. Did I spell that right? No, I did not. Let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you. I have one more thing to report. And you will receive the best prices in the industry. Andy has promised us that, and excellent customer service. We've been in business 34 years with an A+ business rating and not one customer complaint. So info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you. Now, that letter from APMEX actually came on the heels of a letter. I'll see if I can find it or a memo from the CEO. I'm not the CEO, but the co-founder, the co-founder of Miles Franklin Precious Metals. This letter was, I'm trying to find it and talk to you at the same time, actually from David Scheckman. Let me see if I can find it. Here we are. Good. Hopefully, prayerfully, you can see this. This is a letter from David Scheckman. I reported on this 2 weeks ago. And as I was reporting it, my channel got deleted. But I'm just going to let you know that David Scheckman in his letter talks about how he, along with his son, Andy, actually started or founded Miles Franklin in 1990. And he's been a writer of the newsletter. So go to milesfranklin.com and subscribe to the newsletter. He said he retired from Miles Franklin in 1983, but he continued to follow the market. He's deeply concerned, he says in this letter, about what he sees going on now. I'll start to read from here. The speed with which things are changing is alarming, David Scheckman says. The increase in interest rates isn't about how much things have changed, but rather the speed at which they are changing. It's difficult to process and make sense of it all. This is why I'm sending out this email. I want you to be fully aware of what's happening. And it's crucial to your financial well-being that you not only understand it, but also factor into the speed at which things are happening. There's a time to think about what you see happening, and then there's a time to act. I'm suggesting that the time to act is now. Here's what we know. The dollar is being de-dollarized at an alarming rate. He talks about Brazil being the second largest exporter of corn in the world, and China. They struck a deal to ditch the United States dollar, in favor of their own currencies in trade transactions. We know their currencies are now backed by gold. All the BRICS nations, along with the ever-expanding list of countries that comprise the BRICS nations, either already have, or soon will trade outside of the dollar. Andy has been warning about this for the last 3 years, and so have I, and it's now a reality. He talks about how the Saudis have applied to BRICS and soon will accept any major currency for their oil. The dollar days as the sole world reserve currency are over. This is why what's his name? John Paulson says, get out of the dollar and go towards gold. This is why Hank Paulson, the former United States Treasury Secretary, says people have pulled out the amount of $1 trillion out of the banking system. They don't trust it. The dollar is over. The demand for silver and gold is based on fear and not greed, because fear is the strongest motivator. This banking crisis, which has just started, has motivated tens of thousands of people to convert their dollars into gold and silver. As you all noted, we at Miles Franklin have just added 12,000 new customers in the last 30 days. So David Scheckman had told us about this 2.5 weeks ago, that this demand leads to two things: higher premiums and shortages. Higher premiums and shortages and delays. So my family that's keep calling, and friends and soul family members, why haven't I gotten my precious metals? The high demand means processing time takes longer, packaging time takes longer, shipment takes time and is longer now. The Austrian Mint and the Canadian Royal Mint have informed Miles Franklin, their brokers, and Andy and David, that they're cutting back on allocations. So we're also witnessing a new class of buyers who are coming to Miles Franklin in a panic to buy gold and silver. These are very wealthy clients. We're processing multiple 7-figure orders on a daily basis. Not long ago, we've had 2 separate orders that were well over $50 million each. You all know that I reported that last summer, and it's just beginning. So believe me when I tell you, he says premiums are rising and supply is fast disappearing. Don't sit back and wait, because the you know what has already hit the fan. You know, when the ish hits the fan, people say that's when I'm going to be ready. No, it's already hit the fan. If you're paying attention, you'll see that. Andy and I are on the same mind when it comes to the concept of wealth. We do not measure our wealth in mere dollars, but rather in hard assets. He talks about how that philosophy was imparted upon him through his mentor. Andy's team at Miles Franklin is currently overwhelmed. I implore you to take action now and convert as many of your dollars as possible into tangible assets. Let me read this, go back here, because a lot of people will say, like me, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't tell you what to do. I love that David Scheckman just comes straight out, shoots from the hip, and tells you the truth. The time to act is now, before prices skyrocket and availability disappears altogether. History has shown us that the average return on investment is around 5%, but before demand increased by a factor of 10, just to reach that mean, the supply of these hard assets will have run dry, and you will be left with nothing to show for your investment. The reason I've decided to emerge from the shadow and speak out now, I'm drawing upon my experiences from the last 4 decades. I implore you to take action now and convert as many of your dollars as possible into hard, tangible assets. A lot of people won't emphatically state that, because they're saying, I'm not a financial advisor, I can't tell you what to do. David Scheckman is saying, I'm imploring you, I'm begging you, I'm urging you, do something, because the dollar has lost its value. Andy and his team at Miles Franklin, everybody is overwhelmed with the sheer volume of incoming calls that they receive on a daily basis. People will call not to say, I want to process my order. They'll ask about geopolitical issues. What's going on in this country? What's going on in Saudi Arabia? What's going on with China? Why is China brokering or facilitating peace deals in the Middle East? What is going on? Is there really peace? They're asking all kind of questions. And they're saying, Dr. Kia Pruitt sent me. But while these brokers are answering questions, it's taking time, and they're glad to do it. We're just letting you know that a lot of them are overwhelmed, and they might, because they're so busy, not be able to reach out to their extensive client base very, very quickly, but they're doing the best they can. This is why you have a letter coming out from David Scheckman. He wants you all to act now. Just reach out to your broker if you know your personal broker. My broker is Justin. I love Justin. I can call him anytime. I can shoot an email and say, this is how much I want to spend. What you got for me? What's the best bang for my buck? And this is why I say ask what's in inventory, because if you get what's in inventory, it's easier to process that and just send that out to you. You can ask for anything you desire, but it's not, if it's not in inventory, they may have to go outside and get that, look for it, make deals, and then bring it to you. These things take time. A lot of us that are new to the precious metal space, we don't know how they operate. We're so used to a microwave society. Let me just click a button here. Let me just go here and pay for this here. Let me just call up somebody and it's there. That's not how life works with certain businesses and certain industries. You have brokers in industries like this. You talk to your broker, you have personal relationships, and they answer your questions actually at Miles Franklin. And they have to do business before they get the metals to you. They have to process it. Make sure you're getting exactly what you desire. Make sure that the money clears through the bank, okay? Because they have to make sure their bank business stays open, right? And is ethical. So it takes time. A lot of us aren't used to ordering precious metals, no matter where you get it from. I've shopped at different places before I found Miles Franklin, and I know it takes 2 weeks or longer. It's just the way business is. But the more information you include in your email, the better equipped we'll be to expedite your request. Rest assured, we're doing everything we can to respond to all correspondence as quickly as possible, despite some delays that we're currently processing. That's it, family. If you have any questions, please ask me the questions. I don't want to keep you on much longer. We're already at 1 hour, 26 minutes. I always say I don't want to keep you all on. Ask the questions. Yeah, the chickens have come home to roost. Absolutely. Any questions? Let me go over here and look at our Rumble family. See if I can bring Rumble up. See if you have any questions here. I don't know if I could bring you up on the screen. But if you have any questions on Rumble, I see I'm live streaming here on Rumble. Oh, I can't see your questions on Rumble. Any questions, please put them in the comment section. I'll have to go to my Rumble channel over here and see if you guys are leaving comments. So Andy Scheckman, the CEO of Miles Franklin, again, has stated that we just added 12,000 new customers within the last 30 days. That's 400 customers per day asking for precious metals. Any questions about why precious metals? What are precious metals? Somebody says that'll never happen in Illinois. Oh, some things have happened in Illinois. I'll look it up and I'll report it to you. What's been going on with Illinois? Somebody said this is brilliant news. I see. Kamal Arush was Kamala Harris's name. Thank you so very much for that. Kamala Harris's real name, according to some people in the intel industry, is Kamal Arush. And some people say that she is not a woman. This is allegedly true. Any other questions before we get out of here, family? We've covered a lot today. You're welcome. It's my great pleasure. If you're interested in doing business with Miles Franklin, send an email, info@milesfranklin.com. Ask them for a list of inventory plus prices. Ask any questions that you might have. Leave your number if you desire in the email if you want to call back. And remember, it takes time, but they will get back to you as soon as possible, as quickly as possible. Why Miles Franklin? We've been in business 34 years. We've never had one customer complaint. We have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and excellent customer service at our company without any complaints. And people who do business with us always say that they've had a wonderful experience. So that's it, family. In summary, one thing I forgot to tell you, there was a funny looking guy, an alien looking character that was spotted in the court in Donald Trump's alleged indictment case. I think I'll end with that unless anybody has questions. Thank you, Sister Piera. It's always great to see you. You're so sweet. Thank you for your very nice comment. Let me show you all this weird looking character they say look like an alien, whatever an alien looks like. Let me show you this. Tell me if this looks like a CGI, like an alien, or what it looks like. Here we go. A strange man was videotaped in the courtroom at Donald Trump's indictment case. I'm going to push the mute button so you all can hear this. This was on BitChute, but it came actually through another independent news source. And then I clicked the link and got transferred over here. So I'll put that in the description section. I don't think YouTube will flag me because I'm not monetized. I hope not, for all the things that I've been reporting. But if they do, follow me on Rumble. You can go to rumble.com and then in the search part, look up Dr. Kia Pruitt. And I'll put that up for you in a minute. But go to my Rumble channel, please, family, as my backup, because you never know what they're going to do. Let me see where I am. Okay. Let's look at this strange looking character right quick. Spotted at the Donald Trump indictment case or fake indictment case. I don't know what they're doing over there. Here we go. Let me push the mute button and play this short video. It's a very, very short clip, like a second or two. Well, I was going to show it to you. I don't know what's going on here. What I'll do, oh, it went blank. Keep chatting, family. I'll see if I can find it for you. I'll see if I can find it for you from my Gmail. I had it in I think somebody sent it to me in my email through, keep talking in the chat. I'm going to see if I can find that alien looking guy for you guys. Yes, I know who sent that to me. Willie. Hold on. A short video. Here we go. So I'm just going to show it to you from Rumor Mills, and you all let me know what you think in the description section about this. I'm going to share it right now. Stop sharing. Hold on 1 minute. And I'm not going to leave you on much longer. Here we go.
Trump arraignment yesterday. Watch his eyes. Very obvious that we're in a spiritual or some type of warfare going on here for sure. Who he is, Secret Service. What was his purpose on being there? Because his eyes, something is going on there. Definitely.
So that was it. I'll see if I can bring it up a little bigger. I'll put that in the description section for you all to see. I'm just going to play it one more time for anybody that did not see it.
Trump arraignment yesterday. Watch his eyes. Very obvious that we're in a spiritual or some type of warfare going on here for sure. Who he is, Secret Service. What was his purpose on being there? Because his eyes, something is going on there. Definitely.
So I thought that was really interesting. I just wanted to bring all of this breaking news for you, family, about the alien looking guy or the weird looking gentleman who was at the Trump's indictment case. I wanted to tell you about how public servants who are in office have allegedly not sworn allegiance to the Constitution, and how there has been a movement to have them removed. And I'll put that for you in the description section. We also talked about how Kamala Harris is not legitimate because the framers of the Constitution, our forefathers, wanted to make sure that if you serve as president, you had the best interest of the American people at heart. She is not legitimate. She does not have an allegiance to America. Both of her parents are foreign born, and not only foreign born, which is okay, they never became naturalized. So her allegiance because of that is to Jamaica and to India. Law professor John Eastman confirms and has affirmed this. He is an expert of the Constitution, and he worked actually for the Chapman University in Orange, California, but he was made fun of, disrespected. He was criticized. His work had been criticized and called a racist because he told us that Kamala Harris was illegitimate, and people who bought into the whole racism rhetoric chided him. But John Eastman, who is an expert in constitutional law, actually let us know that. And that's why Donald Trump kept saying stuff like, I heard she wasn't even supposed to serve. I heard Kamala Harris is not legitimate. I heard she's not really the vice president. He was trying to awaken us up. We talked about peace talks in the Middle East and how China would broker that deal, and breaking news that Arkansas has affirmed gold and silver as legal tender in the state and how they removed the taxes. We read a letter from the CEO of Atmex Precious Metals Company stating that they are having such high demand requests for silver and gold. And we also read the letter from David Scheckman, the co-founder of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, with whom I am an affiliate, and the father of Andy Scheckman, the CEO of Miles Franklin, state how he implores us to get into the precious metal industry and to get out of the dollar because the demand is so high that premiums are shooting through the roof. And now there's a delay in processing. There'll be a delay in you receiving your precious metals. And there are shortages now, so get into it while you can. We talked about how $1 trillion has been removed from the banking industry. People keep asking me, why you keep talking about silver and gold, blah, blah, blah. I'm tired of hearing it. So what? You're an affiliate. Yes, I'm an affiliate. But I've been talking about precious metals for years and years. And people will say, where should I go? I say, I don't know, just go somewhere. Well, now I found a place, that has the best prices in the industry, that has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and never had a customer complaint. So please go to Miles Franklin. If you're inclined, send an email, info@milesfranklin.com. And we talked about how depositors have taken out $1 trillion out of the banking industry. At the same time, we've added 12,000 new customers at Miles Franklin asking for gold and silver. That's 400 new customers per day. Oh, that guy's been seen before, the alien looking guy. I didn't know that. Thank you, Courtney. Probably Secret Service. I wonder who he is and what he does. Hello, South Africa. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you all so much. Remember that tomorrow we have a special guest. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for having Gold Star Mother Susan Price to help you with your projects. She didn't charge 1 penny to help any of our soul family do their humanitarian projects. She worked with you to come up with names. She worked with you to come up with acronyms. She worked with you all to find pictures, to put your thoughts on papers. She helped you with the wording of the mission and vision. She is a phenomenal person. She is the mother of fallen soldier Aaron Michael Kennefick, who is a Marine, a gunnery sergeant that was killed in the line of duty while working behind the scenes for the white hats of the military years ago, before we even knew that there was a white hat or a deep state. He was killed while in action by the military industrial complex. She is a mother of a fallen soldier that was also endorsed by Donald Trump, and she endorsed Donald Trump. So you all who have worked with her, thank you so much. You can send her a blessing or a gift at let me see where I can find. I think it's s.priceforjustice@gmail.com. I'll find that for you, because she's helped 150 of you with your humanitarian projects and never asked for 1 penny. This is a woman whose projects were actually approved by Ben Carson, who was the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development in 2017. He was the 17th, I think, Secretary of Urban Housing, but he came around and approved certain humanitarian projects well before we even knew, many of us knew that there were humanitarian projects. He approved her project, but before it could be approved, she paid money, lots of money, hundreds of dollars, to have somebody to help her. Actually, she paid hundreds of dollars to have somebody to help her create her project. She created her project, and then it was approved by Ben Carson and other people who were a part of this humanitarian effort. So they approved her project that she had paid for free, and then she didn't charge any of you to help you with her project. So I'm hoping this is the right one. You guys can let me know if this is her. I think this is the right one. You can go to Zelle, put in her email if you would like to bless Gold Star Mother Susan Price. She'll let us know too on Friday for helping you, or just for all of the information she's given us, all the people she's introduced us to. She introduced me to Prime Minister, who has come back on my podcast. She introduced us to many healers and herbal practitioners. She introduced us to Michael Avignon, who will be here on Friday to speak about the global currency reset. Jasara Nasara. What else will he talk to us about? He will talk to us about the RV, how we know it's real, and what's been going on behind the scenes. So that is on Friday. The author of a book called The Global Financial Transition, you can find that book. He'll talk about it on Friday. We'll be here. His name is Michael Avignon on Friday, live streaming on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter at 11 o'clock a.m. I know this was a lengthy podcast. It's because I had a lot to cover and because I missed you all so much. I wanted to be thorough. It's been a long time since I've covered thorough news. And I wanted to answer your questions, but I don't see any more questions, family. I love you so much. Go out and make this a great day. I hope I said something, anything to raise your vibrations and to inspire you and encourage you to create the most amazing, beautiful, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. Bye for now, family. Please go out and make this a great day. Create the reality that you desire. Peace. Bye-bye.